Yo, what's up? This is the Hickweed, and this is my story. On October 10th, 2008, at 2:30 in the morning, I was delivering a pizza to a well-known address, basically right off the street that I live on. And when I got there, there was a guy sitting on a stoop, and he started walking over to me. So I got out of the car, went to the back seat to get the food. That's when he ran up on me with a gun. And when I looked at him, he had a bandana over his face, so I couldn't really tell what he looked like. But I could see 3 little black lines right by his eye. Sort of like wrinkles almost, but I couldn't really tell what they were. He said, "Give me the money or I'm going to shoot you." And I said, "I don't have any money." He said, "That's bullshit, give me the money." And again, I said, "I don't have any money. They don't let me carry money for reasons just like this." And I turned back to go back into my car, and I looked back at him, and when I did, that's when he shot me. The bullet went into my neck, probably right next to my jugular, and stopped right at my spinal cord. Instantly, I knew that something was wrong, because obviously I could smell the gunpowder. I knew I got shot. But as I was falling back into my car, I knew that I couldn't move anything. And I wasn't able to move anything. I was just instantly paralyzed. He was standing roughly 2 feet away from me, so the bullet only had 4 feet of traveling before it hit my spinal cord. And I fell back into my car. My feet were outside the car. My ass was on the driver's seat, and my head fell on the passenger seat. That's when he took off running. He never tried to get any food from me. He never tried to get the money. He just shot me and ran. And after that, I didn't really know what to do. I knew I was paralyzed. I knew I couldn't move anything, because I was trying to put my hand into my pocket to get my cell phone, to call the police, but I couldn't move my left hand. I couldn't move my body. It was kind of twisted. All I could do was move my right hand. So without really hesitation, I went right for the horn, and with this motion, I just laid on the horn for what felt like a good 10 to 20 minutes. Felt like a long time before the police showed up. After the police arrived, they had to wait for the ambulance to arrive. They couldn't move me in any such way, even though I was all mangled and I wasn't positioned very good. I couldn't move anything myself. I was in a lot of pain, not from my wound, but just from the position I was laying in. Everything was twisted and didn't feel good. Finally, the ambulance arrived. They pulled me out of the car, put a neck brace on me, and put me into the ambulance and took me to Strong Hospital. When I got to the hospital, I arrived in the ICU unit. I was there for probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks. They placed me in what I believe is called a rotatory bed. And basically it just keeps your head straight, and it moves your body like this. Turns it on one side, and it puts you flat, and then it turns you to the other side, and it puts you flat. And it was real annoying because, I just got shot in the neck. That had me on this roller coaster bed. I really didn't like it. And that's when the doctor told me that I was paralyzed from basically the top of the chest down. They told me I wouldn't regain movement in my arms or my legs, or my arm, excuse me. After the ICU, they put me in the orthopedic section. When I got to the orthopedic section, I was basically there just being held until there was a spot open in the neurology section. I was there for probably about another week and a half. And that's when basically the pain was getting to be too much. We were trying to get the pain under control. They started me on, low doses of morphine and Percocets. They gave me the little button to push. That really didn't do anything for me though. So they had to move me up to a pill that's called Neurontin, and that's for nerve pain. And they put me on oxycodones, and that basically helped numb the pain. Didn't really help ease the pain, just sort of took the edge off a little, made it a little bit more tolerable. To describe the pain though, it was like a tingling feeling and a numb feeling, except way more intense than you would ever imagine. Like, it was just extremely painful. There was nothing you could really do to stop it. When I got to the hospital, my right hand, I could barely move it. I could barely feel too much that was in it. Going like this was a challenge. I couldn't touch any finger past my, going like this, I couldn't do any of these fingers. I could just go like this. My whole arm was very weak. It took probably about 4 or 5 weeks to regain, not full strength, but probably 65 to 75% strength and movement in my right arm. I can move it very well now. It's been a month and a half since my accident, and pretty much this is all I got. Therapy helped a lot with, regaining the strength and the movement. I would go to therapy for 3 hours a day, only on the weekdays though. Some of the tests that they performed on me to find out, what I could regain and what I couldn't regain, they did what I think is called an EKG, and basically they took little pins and they stuck it in my arm, my left arm, which I still have no movement in, but they stuck the pins into the muscle to see if they could, somehow the sounds that it made would let you know if I could ever use that muscle again. And apparently they told me that this arm just isn't ever going to work again. They told me that the test results were negative. Another part of that test was they would put this patch on you and send electrical shocks through your arm, and they would start off soft, and then they would gradually turn it up and shock you harder, and then turn it up and shock you harder. And again, this didn't make my arm move. The results were negative, and it was just a painful test. Wasn't very pleasant. As far as surgery is concerned, they said that surgery would be useless as far as removing the bullet, because it would just be way too dangerous to go in and try to remove it. And there wouldn't be too many positive results. I don't think they said there'd be any positive results of removing it besides just getting the bullet out. But they risk, damaging more things and potentially making me completely paralyzed. I was in Strong Memorial Hospital for roughly 46 days. While I was there, I developed pneumonia. I had a couple of urinary tract infections. I developed a sore on my sacrum, which is my tailbone, because I wasn't moving around enough. And that basically, sore they say is really dangerous to have because it can grow bigger and grow infection, but we got that under control. They took probably 3 or 4 dozen x-rays of me while I was in there. All of my spinal cord and my chest area and my neck. They said I had 2 fractures in my neck. That's why I gotta wear this fancy neck brace I got on. It goes all the way down my chest. If you can see, it stops roughly around my belly button. Same around the back. Goes down just as far. And it's just because I got 2 fractures in my neck, and it helps with supporting the weight of my head.